discombobulated here. I was trying to be grateful for anything today, really. Maybe just for having a job, even though I'm not loving it. Trying to figure out why I don't like the job, besides just the money thing. I feel that clock of life ticking constantly, like every day, every hour, every minute that goes by that I'm not spending in some way that I want, it just feels wasted, and I feel like death is just around the corner, so I need to try to spend my time wisely and enjoy it. And that every day I spend miserable it's like I don't know, just a sad loss. And then I was thinking about what I would call underemployment situation, and I guess I would describe that as being capable of more, but not being able to get yourself into a situation or a position where you could do that more that you feel like you would be capable of. And I've been kind of lucky here. Well, that's why, I should just try to think about what I'm grateful here for a minute. But for the past couple days, besides the regular maintenance stuff, cleaning bathrooms and picking up trash and whatnot, I've been working with my supervisor that I really like a lot, and that's one thing I'm really grateful that I have a man in my life that's at work who doesn't tear me down, doesn't boss me around, doesn't make me feel like shit, like listens to me, wants to know what my ideas are or what I'm thinking about how to do something. And we've been installing some fountains at the public parks, and that's kind of cool because there's plumbing involved and drilling holes in concrete and doing stuff. And him and I just work really well together, and I need to just kind of be appreciative of that relationship, that same feeling I had about it, like say a couple weeks ago. And then, at least it's a paycheck, even if it's not a great paycheck. I don't think there's any chance for future opportunity here. There was one guy who used to be a seasonal employee, and then he had to go to work for another city for like 10 years before another opening came up here, and he was able to come back. But I guess it could lead to other opportunities, maybe somehow, or this reference could somehow lead to something. But every time I think about that, where I'm like, okay, I'm investing my time here now, so that in the future there might be some kind of payoff. There's really never any payoff. It never really works out to be like that, And so I don't think it's hard. It's hard to be grateful for that, like an opportunity to find more opportunity. That's kind of crazy thinking. And I guess I'm grateful that the job isn't worse. Maybe I've had worse coworkers, worse duties. But then I've been trying to think too, like, what is it that I don't like about it, except for that mostly I feel like I'm in that rut too, where I'm working now, but I'm not making enough money to take off and do anything on the weekend. Well, maybe I could do a little something, but I'd like to spend my summers exploring out in the desert. But I don't, between my transportation situation, this old truck, it's not really capable of driving out a long ways, and it's getting beat up already, and then if something happened to it, I don't want to have to pay to get it towed back, or, just maybe it might get me to the desert and back, but then might not get me to work the next day or something. So until my transportation situation improves, but at this money rate, I don't really see that happening. So it's more like that. It just sets you up for that endless grind and just going to work, going back home, being too tired to do a whole lot, once you get home, and then just kind of repeating that same thing and then using up another day of your life and not really going anywhere. It's like, it's not gainful employment. That underemployment thing is the opposite of gainful employment. There's no health care, there's no money gets set aside for the future, the employer's not matching any money. And I guess that's what's bothering me, just that I've gotten in myself out of necessity. I'm in a situation that's not gainful employment, and I'm just back to wasting my life again, And then I feel like for some reason, I feel like I'm the only one in this position, but I know there must be thousands or millions of other people kind of going through the same thing, And then, I don't know, getting that letter about my student loans really ticked me off because I feel stupid for going to school in the first place, and then stupid for believing that there would be a payoff down the road for it. You used to hear like, well, yeah, all you need is a college degree, or they're hiring anybody with a college degree, but I haven't found that it's ever helped me at all throughout my life. And well, some of it was because I was just doing other stuff, but I really never tried for types of jobs that would require that. And then, so to have it turn out to be not only not helpful, but now just like a dark cloud of debt over my head, it just sucks, man. Especially that I didn't get my wages garnished, my already low wages. So that's got me bummed out. And then, I feel like I'm really losing my train of thought here today. The morning meetings they like kind of make me sort of pissed off every day before I even get started at 7 o'clock. And I get hung up on stuff, I guess, like there's this one park, it's a dog park, and it has all these signs like, don't do this and don't do that and know this and know that. Like, there's a list of like things you're not supposed to do that I swear, I mean, it's like at least 12 items. And then there's like probably 3 or 4 signs all put together, in like the city kind of like, don't do stuff, format that just makes the whole park look unfriendly. And like there's so many goddamn rules of what, and then they have like a small dog park there and then a bigger dog park. But then my boss was talking about putting up more signs there, and it kind of just made me think of that song that's like, sign, sign, everywhere sign, breaking up the scenery, breaking my mind. Do this, don't do that, can't you read the sign? And I was just like, wow, man, that's how these signs get started. It's all this bureaucracy stuff. And but so today that was just going through my head, and I was just feeling really annoyed with the whole sign thing and the process. And then we got Arbor Day coming up. So one of the bigger bosses is an arborist. So I guess it's like their Christmas Day or something. But I feel like that she's actually feigning excitement for Arbor Day. that she's not really excited for Arbor Day, but because she's an arborist, she feels like she's got to project excitement for Arbor Day. And we're supposed to have a bunch of kids, grade school kids, coming over to help us plant some trees. And there's some books. And one of the books is Do Trees Have Mothers? Which I thought was kind of an interesting idea, especially in today's progressive, non-binary world. I don't know how that book's going to read. I haven't read it, of course, but just trying to imagine how it fits in the modern scheme of things. And then there's one that's just called City Tree. And it just kind of got me thinking about the life of an actual city tree. And I don't know if you've ever been in the city and you see a tree and it has like a metal grate all around its roots. And then people lock their bikes to them. You know, people throw gum and cigarette butts down where their roots are, and probably nowadays injection needles or foil from drug use or whatever, and getting peed on by a homeless guy or spit on by a passerby, and or maybe the garbage truck drives by and blows a bunch of diesel on you, and then the air quality in general isn't great, and probably some tall building throwing shade on you when you'd really rather be in the sun. And I don't know what that book City Tree is about, but I have a feeling it's not really about the true life of a city tree. I'd rather be a country tree. Excuse me, for sure. But I don't know. I just feel so disgruntled and unhappy and depressed and shitty. But I was thinking that I could look for another job. Like, I could use this time so that everything's kind of, you know, I'm safe. I got some income coming. I can eat. You know, I can get a few things. So now would be a good time to kind of refocus instead of just being glad I have a job and I don't gotta look anymore. Now I could redo my resume with this job as one of the top ones. You would think having a city job, oh, that reminds, there's like City Tree, and now I'm like City Brian, but that because you got to pass the background and the drug test, and then you're working at a place like this, that it would lead to, or would maybe open the door to better employment. But I don't know, but it's probably worth a try. And then I was just thinking, what is that other employment going to be? And I've been thinking a lot about, well, maybe if I just focused on the handyman business too. Like, one of the biggest worries was just my old truck. It's not very presentable. And I mean, I think it would get me to the jobs and stuff, but I'm not sure if a homeowner would like to see me pull up and an old rust bucket here. How it would just have to be the right people. I just would have to find the right clients, you know. And I did pretty okay in Florida with it, but I had already kind of word of mouth going on, but I never was highly successful. I always felt like I didn't charge enough, and always didn't know how to find more clients or better clients or richer clients or jobs that would pay more. And I mean, I would hear about people hanging TVs, for example, and somehow making a lot of money hanging TVs for people. And I had one or two people have me come over and hang TVs for them, and I kind of thought that might open the doors and lead to some more TV hanging, but it never did happen. And then I didn't really charge much to go and do that. And well, I don't know, maybe the handyman business I like, and I always got into more serious stuff, like beyond regular handyman stuff. Like, I would take on pretty serious carpentry projects, or like this tile project I have going on now, stuff that technically requires a contractor's license. But I feel like I could get away without that for a while, but I just would have to take some steps to trying to get a business going, maybe even just magnetic signs for the truck or, uh, yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. And then there was the teaching idea, the substitute teaching idea. I found out that the Workforce Development Board, which I thought they had some training, and there was this thing where they would pay for some, schooling and stuff. But I found out that if you already have a degree, like I have a bachelor's degree, that they won't do anything for you. I heard back from Omar, the terrorist employer employ, employment specialist. It took me forever. Like I had to play a bunch of phone tag. It was like from the time I signed up for training at Workforce Development to the time I heard back from Omar that he couldn't help me because I had a degree. It was like 2 months. It's something that I could have known like right away. But when I saw his card and saw his name Omar, I was like, oh, what is this? What kind of person is this going to be, And he was pretty much everything I figured that he would be just based on his name. So that was a fail. But the teaching thing's still a possibility, but it's the wrong time of year. But now's probably the right time to get applied and try to get everything. I know there's like a fingerprinting thing and all this other stuff, but I just don't even know if I want to do that. I think I'd rather build a shed or maybe in their tile shower. I don't know. Maybe that's like my biggest problem. Just not even knowing what I want to do anymore. And then because the student loan thing is probably going to start garnishing my wages, I was thinking, well, maybe I should go back to waiting tables because they could garnish my $2.13 an hour, but at least I'd have the tips, But I hate waiting tables. I just hate it. And I feel like I'm too old to do it now. An employer wouldn't even want to hire me to wait tables, But I don't know. I just don't even know. I gotta figure something out. There's gotta be a better life, a better way. Or if I could just accept this life, well, that's why I was kind of hoping that there would be some kind of a medication to just make me not care anymore. And somehow I'd wake up and all this bullshit would be okay. And I'd just go through the motions. And there's a big old truck getting ready to come by. And then I have got my hands on some psilocybin mushrooms, and there was an interesting thing where Trump just this week kind of approved the whole psychedelic, let's just call it treatment, research type deal. And because people with PTSD and other things have had a lot of success with things like ibogaine and even the mushrooms and what is those things? People are going down to South America for I forget what the name is, the other stuff, but I always just felt like that there was something inherently wrong with my mind and my brain and the way I look at everything, and that if it could just be changed, if it could just be re-scrambled, reformed, put back together, if I could just, have some epiphany, some realization, some spiritual experience. And I have had some experience with the mushroom thing already, and I have seen the other side and how profound it can be, and I've had some bad experiences and some good experiences. But I had also heard that sometimes just one experience can take away your depression, and they talk a lot about set and setting, and there's a sort of a, let's say, a protocol that involves music and usually another person to kind of watch over you. And that's the biggest thing for me, really, is it's kind of scary going into it because you don't know what is going to happen, where all that can take you. Like that one bad trip that I had where I thought that I burned everything down and caught my car on fire and melted everything, and then it turned out none of that had happened. It was just all like a hallucination, like the most vivid, real hallucination I'd ever had. Or so I guess it'd be nice if you had somebody bedside to kind of watch over you if you were going to really go deep. Doesn't seem very practical in my case, but I tried to read my Jesus Calling book today, but it didn't. Just kind of hit flat. Just feeling so flat, man. Well, guess that's enough rambling for today. Thanks for listening to me.